Next up, we have standards and assessment.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to read it, even though Janet's going to be the new chair starting tomorrow. So maybe you're our today, Janet.
Okay,
So,
can I just interrupt you for one
yes.
second? I'm going to have Vice Chair Brittany Cummings handle this portion just as I step out for a little SOS that keeps hitting me.
Oh, I thought she was going to
Will you
give
pass
this
that over,
report.
please? I have to be just excused for a short.
Chair Cummings, should I go?
Sorry.
They just are all one together.
Sorry. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay. All right. In standards, first of all, I want to thank my committee. I have loved and adored working with them. I think we've had great bantering and come to some great conclusions as a team working together. Okay. So we approved our previous minutes. Then on our 277-717, this is high school course grading requirements. This rule has been in effect for 1 year now because it was voted on last January. We were presented with some ideas by Diana Sudrith. A work group was created in order to clarify the rules so that it could be implemented, even though it's been implemented for over a year. Members of the work group consisted of principals, representatives from the Board of Regents, and several curriculum directors. The committee discussed in depth whether the rules should be course for course or credit for credit. And the committee came out with, I can go over these changes to revision 1, but we actually approved revision 2, which are the changes to revision 1. So if you want to look at this, you can look at revision 2. It's on your board docs. And a motion was made by Member Stokes to approve our 27717 revision 2 because we fixed revision 1 as amended on first reading. Members Cummins, Gravitz, and Stokes voted in favor, and Member Belknap opposed. The motion carried, and Member Warner was absent for this one. Motion for the board is the committee moves the board approved our 27717 revision 2 as amended on second and final reading.
Okay, so the motion from the committee is to approve R 277-717 revision 2 as amended on second and final reading. Is there any discussion? Board Member Hanson?
So I have a question. How much are we changing this? Because one of the comments I always get from my districts and LEAs is that they just put something in and then we change it again. And so my question is, how much are we changing this? I had one superintendent say, you just gave us the power to do this and now you're taking it away. Is that what's happening? And apparently they could do it before. Okay, so what the superintendent said to me was, we could do this on our own before we wrote the rule a year ago, before we wrote the rule. They could do it on their own. They put it in the rule. We wrote the rule so all the superintendents would know that they could do this. Now we're changing it so they can't do it at all. Is that what this is doing?
I'll try and give, Chair,
Yeah.
try and give clarity without being sway, because what the rule did last year was make it where students could earn a credit for a credit. So if they took art, I'm just going to pick art history. No, I'm going to do art drawing. And they got a poor grade, and so they decided to take art photography. Art photography could replace the grade of the art drawing. With this new one, if you take art drawing and you get a poor grade, you have to retake art drawing. It has to have the same course code. That's one of the big differences here. So should it be credit for credit or course for course? It was our big discussion.
Okay. Board Member Ellis?
Okay, so sorry you brought up a question in my head. So you brought up more of an elect. I mean, they're required courses, but like on the core academic subjects, was it the same thing where they could take a different type of an English class, so one that focuses on writing versus,
Yes,
okay, thank you.
as long as it fulfilled a graduation requirement, had to fulfill the requirements for it.
Board Member Hanson?
Again, my concern is that we're changing this and making it less, the local schools less able to do this on their own. I don't know why we're changing this. If there were there concerns, were there problems? Because I'm not hearing that from my districts and LEAs. They're saying that they like it the way it is, that they don't have a problem, they don't think it needs to be changed. And so I'm kind of skeptical that we need to change this, just saying.
So Patty, if you'd like to come forward and speak to that concern,
I can.
and Board Member
They
Belknap.
had that work group that got together, and they actually were looking for clarification as to what they could or couldn't do. And personally, I'm just going to state this, I think we're narrowing their options as districts rather than extending them,
So
and students.
a work group was created, and Diana Sudroth was overseeing that work group. During that time, if you look at the FAQs that have also been uploaded, the FAQs were the questions that were asked with the rule and the clarifications that needed to be made. So during that time, that was the clarifications and what was asked for from the work group in making that possible. So that was with I think the committee members on that. Diana, do you want to? Yeah, who they were on there. So, and we had Terry, I think Terry Shoemaker came and spoke to it with the course requirement being course for course, and that added to decreased the complexity of trying to make it happen on the transcript, finding the teacher and making it happen. That was kind of the short end of it.
Board Member Beebe?
I think this brings up a point that we all need to be cognizant about. We want to give local control to our districts, but then when one district does one thing and another district does another thing, there's some tension between districts. So is that part of the catalyst for this conversation, that different districts were doing different things, or? So
There were a lot of questions, and I don't know if you want to come up and speak from the committee that came up. Many of the questions regarded scholarships, changing the course code, so replacing a course that was not the same course, and what would happen to actually the name of the course, what would be published on the last transcript, conflicting transcripts, for example. If you had a transcript that was saved at the school site, but then they retook a course, what was the last one that was being uploaded? Where was that going to be saved? So there's a lot of different complexities within the issues of doing that. And then going back to having it be the same course code to replace the content. Do you want to speak?
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add is that it's the I can't say the word now. Putting the rule into operation is what what stemmed the FAQs, or why the FAQs came about. And it was in writing the FAQs that they and it was primarily curriculum directors then wanted more clarity in the rule. So we've been working on the FAQs for a year because they had all these questions when they were trying to put the rule into operation, and just wanting to have that kind of consistency from one LEA to another. And that's kind of what brought this all about.
Board Member Lear or
Vice
Board
Chair.
Member Gravitt?
Correct me if I'm wrong, those who are in standards, but I thought that the main concern was when the Principals Association came and talked, they were really concerned about a transcript having integrity. And, you know, if a student wants to repeat a course, it should have the same course code. That would give the transcript more integrity. If they don't want to repeat the same course code, I mean, this affects scholarships, this affects all kinds of things. And I think one of them brought up an example of, I mean, you hate to use a student athlete, but sometimes student athletes would hurry and take an easier math course just to be eligible. Anyway, I think this was to tighten things up, but I may be wrong on that because it's been a month.
Board Member Ellis?
Vice Chair Ellis.
Did your committee look at all at merging the two concepts together to give the control back to the local board to make this decision for themselves. So right here you have on lines 15 that a local board can determine if a course from another state or accredited institution is a comparable course. Well, why can't we allow that within their own district and let them decide that for themselves? Did that discussion happen, or only when you're only looking at out of state, so that you could put in there the same course code if they chose, but if they wanted to do something differently? I always err on the side of allowing them to make their own choices at a local board.
Yeah. Want me to-
Whoever can answer it.
I don't know your title.
Doesn't matter. But
Norman.
Patty Norman. Yeah.
Super Patty.
Yeah. The question with that was a consistency because they're competing for the same scholarship. So if you have a student who then has to repeat a course, took an honors course, and then decided to take it again, then took a course that wasn't an honors course and received that higher grade, then they're competing for scholarships in the same state with each other. So that was kind of more if everyone was on the same page, then they could have the same expectations. And that was what came from it.
And I can see that, but everybody goes into things, or should go into things, with their eyes wide open. So a student and a parent, with the help of the counselor, could know that this may affect a scholarship because those determinations are set by someone else, and you can go in with your eyes wide open and still make that choice. I'm going to forego my possibility to get this scholarship, but this is a place that I want to go for other reasons. So anyways, I'm kind of inclined to not vote unless I see some revisions to allow more local control.
Board Member Belknap.
I appreciate Jenny's comments because we did talk a lot about student athletes and changing, but I also have to think about the students who have disasters happen in their life and where maybe that honors class, they're just not capable of doing it because of something that's happened. And the fact that they decide to take a regular history class and do better, I think that also vies for the student to retake a course. They're retaking the course. They have to do the work. Whether it's an honors or whether it's not, it gives the students more control, the students.
I'd like to ask a question as well. So if a student takes an honors course, fails under the old rule, and they would have replaced it with a regular non-honors course, it would show up on their transcript as a non-honors course. Is that correct? And so the honors would disappear entirely. So the competition would be the same as if they had originally chosen a non-honors course. Do I understand that correctly?
Correct, course code.
Okay. Is there any other discussion to this rule? Board Member Belknap?
I need a little direction from you as the chair here, because I need to make an amendment to this depending on if it passes or not. And so I'm not sure how to do this, because one of the things is we know that students have been doing this for a year, and some of them are in these right now. They're taking a history course to replace an honors history course, and they need to have time to complete that course that they're already in. And so depending on if this passes or not, we need to not have this take place until the 18-19 school year, just for those students who are in transition. So I don't know how to do that.
Chair Huntsman?
Yes, I'm sorry I had to step out, but I am catching up quick here. Did you read the motion?
Yes, we read the motion from the
Okay,
committee.
and so and it's before the board, and you can make amendments to the motion
But I don't want it to pass.
if needed.
Would you like to make that motion, Board Member Belknap?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Hoping it doesn't pass.
Okay, can you restate your amendment?
Yes, that if this motion passes, that it doesn't start until the 18-19 school year.
So,
And I know I can't say if it passes.
Is there a second to that motion?
Can you restate the motion?
So the motion, the amendment is to approve this on second and final reading and instate it.
He has a better way to state
Okay.
it, sorry.
We're going to suggest that you do.
We don't file it until July,
Okay.
so that it comes. same thing.
Just direct staff to file it July 1st.
Okay, so the amendment is to direct staff to file our 277717 after July 1st. Is there a second to that amendment? Okay, second by Board Member Cannon. Is there any discussion to the amendment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
To the amendment, yep. Okay, that passes unanimously. Oh, sorry, any opposed? Thank you. Okay, that passes unanimously. Then we return to the main motion, which now says the committee moves that the board approve R 277717 revision 2 as amended on second and final reading, and that it be filed after January 1st.
July.
Sorry,
July.
thank you. Filed after July 1st. Okay, is there any further discussion to that motion? Board Member Belknap?
Thank you. I just had one other thought on this, is that sometimes students, if they get ill or they have any issues that come up and they want to retake that course, sometimes it's not available to them to retake. And now we've handcuffed the students and the school. And so now this student cannot replace that course because we have now narrowed it for course instead of a credit for a credit.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any further discussion? And if there's no other discussion, all in favor? Okay, any opposed? No?
No.
Okay. Okay, would the ayes please raise their hand? Yes. Okay, that motion fails.
Do you want me to chair again? Oh, your hand on, okay.
It's official.
Board Member Belknap.
I would like to make a motion that we go back to revision 1 on R 277717 it doesn't show, it shows with some of the amendments here.
Okay, hang on one sec. I want to get caught up here. So are you following your summary of actions from committee?
No, I'm making a new amendment because that one failed. Can I not do that, Chair?
Which one are you?
So it's not a revision one.
The motion.
It's the other one. It's the other, yeah. But what's the revision we have to have in there? We already
Okay,
did them.
so that motion can come from the prevailing. So,
Can I do that or not?
yes, you can. It's got to come from the prevailing.
For,
Well, isn't it? Oh, you-
We may have to go back. There's two parts to it.
Yeah. Okay, let's hear your motion. But, Board,
Because it affects
Board
the
Member
FAQs
Belknap.
too, so you might want to just send it back to committee and then have them both come out again.
maybe I better step out again.
We were
Okay, can you one more time? Your motion, please?
Chair, it looks like it's more complex and probably needs to go back to committee.
Okay. Okay. Will you, Board, can you make that recommendation?
Well, there's some things on the very bottom.
No, I
just for clarity, because these things are still part of revision 1. Right. And you don't want that.
Board
I'd
Member,
like this rule to come back to the Standards and Assessment Committee for further discussion and consideration of the details that are sort of unaddressed in the moment.
do we have a second?
Second.
That was a
Yeah.
motion to bring it back to the Standards and Assessment Committee.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? No. Will the ayes raise their hand? Okay, Board Member Cannon. Board Member
It's got to be.
Warner. Board Member Lear. Board Member Gravitt. So that's 4 on this side. Board Member Reby.
Well, we'll
Is that
bring it
right?
back anyway. We can bring it back if we want to.
Okay. The-
We can bring it back anyway.
Scott,
If
did-
two people.
oh no, 5. Motion fails. Okay. Okay, please continue. Yeah.
Chair, I'd like to bring back our 277-717, not a committee motion, but our revision 1. It says credit to credit,
R2777, I'm not on the same.
which we've all had in our board doc.
Okay, so now I'm coming back to this. Okay, now you want to go back to,
That's really revision 2.
okay,
Thank you.
that's what's got me confused.
Yeah,
That was revision 1.
Revision
They
one.
amended it, and it made these revision 2.
so it has,
But now it's back to 17. Geez, I step out
Yes,
for
and I'm
5
sorry, I
minutes
didn't
and
know it
can't
was
catch- it takes me
ready.
20 minutes to catch up.
yes.
I know. All right. Okay. Board Member Belknap.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve our 277-717 revision 1, please.
We have a motion. Do we have a
On second
second?
and final reading.
On second and final reading?
Yeah.
And we have a second? Where was the second? Okay. Did you get the second? Any further discussion? Board Member Cummins? Or Board Member, let me get this right, Vice Chair Brittany Cummins.
Sorry, in revision 1, it talks, it has some line 15 through 19 struck out, and it talks about comparable courses from another state. I would just be curious to understand the reasoning behind that strikeout.
So the reason for that strikeout would be because if it's not the same course code, you don't need the language from other states because it's already about credit for credit, so it's just not needed.
Okay. Did that answer your question? Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Will the ayes raise their hand? So you have Board Member Hanson, Belknap, Bolter, Lisa Cummins, Scott. Oh, back over here to Joel. Elisa Ellis, Brittany Cummins, so we have more than that. Okay. Motion passes.
I had the other version of the FAQs, but I didn't bring it.
Board Member Cannon.
Just a question, do we need to delay the implementation of this, like the amendment that passed on the other revision? Do we still need to take care of that, or is this? No, it's already in effect. This doesn't?
It's already in effect.
Okay.
Okay, good question. Okay. Please continue.
Thank you, Chair, I'm sorry. Okay, our wait just a minute. Did I skip something? Oh, our 277-717, it's the FAQ that goes with this. And Diana has helped me here to fix the couple of things from our rule now that would match. So if you want to go ahead and pull up the FAQ. The committee motion was made by Spencer Stokes to approve the FAQ that is aligned to our 27717 revision 1. Members Cummins, Gravitt, and Stokes voted in favor and Belknap opposed. The motion carried. Member Warner was absent. The committee moves that the board approve the FAQ for our 27717. However, it is out of misalignment now.
Okay, the motion before the board is to approve the FAQs for R 277-717. Discussion to the motion. Is your light on for a reason? No. Oh, okay. Board Member Belknap.
Yes, number 1 would need to be changed slightly. So I'm making an amendment. Under the FAQ number 1, what is a comparable course? A comparable course must have the same, must fulfill the same course graduation credit requirement. That's what it would say.
Okay. Will you please repeat that one more time?
Will you read it? Can Patty
Okay,
read it?
Patty's going to read it.
A comparable course must meet the same graduation credit requirement.
R277 dash.
They have 50 zillion copies of it. FAQ revision 1.
So on
Revision
question number
one.
1, what is a comparable course? A comparable course must fulfill the same graduation course credit requirement.
Okay, let's go back. Okay, Lorraine. I'm not following.
We just need to get clear on what version of the FAQ we're looking
Version
at.
3.
Version 3
Thanks.
Okay,
on question 1 will be the only one that would need to change. And do you want me to say the change one more time?
one more.
One more
So,
time?
It's revision 3. So the amendment is regarding revision 3 to state, and then we state it.
The question is, what is a comparable course? And the answer is a comparable course must fulfill the same graduation course credit requirement. And then the rest is the same. It does not need to be taught for the same number of hours nor in the same format. So the rest of the sentence is the same. No,
There's amending.
that's the change. That's the change.
amending.
That's
the
amending
That's the
question
amendment.
number 1.
amendment to revision 3.
To match the rule.
Currently, revision 3 states on question number 1, what is a comparable course? A comparable course must have the same course code as the original course. So it would be amended that it would fulfill the same graduation course credit requirement.
That's my amendment.
Okay, I'm pausing just so people can catch up. They're in deep thought, deep reading, right? Okay, can we have the motion, the committee moved that the board, or let's see, the amendment to the motion is, will you restate exactly how you read that, because I didn't write it?
The new one?
Yeah,
Yes.
to revision 3,
To revision 3, in talking to the comparable courses, question 1, what is a comparable course? A comparable course must fulfill the same graduation course credit requirement
period.
as the original course, period. It does not need to be taught for the same number of hours nor in the same format. So the sentence 2 on that remains the same. It's only
So it's
sentence 1.
changing that first part of that sentence.
Yes.
Any questions to the amendment? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the amendment passes. Let's go back to the original motion to approve the FAQs for R277-717 revision 3 as amended. Do we have a reading? No. Okay, as amended. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Voting was unanimous. Board Member Belknap, please continue.
Okay. I'm just making sure, because this is out of order. 700 comes
I think we're on
next.
404.
Okay, R277404, Requirements for Assessments and Student Achievement Amendment. Tiffany Stanley presented R277404 to the committee, and the committee asked for the following revisions of R277404, Revision 1. Line 228, after line 229, add the following. In accordance with subsection 53A-15-1403, subsection 1, an LEA shall reasonably accommodate a parent's or guardian's request to allow students' demonstration of proficiency on a state-required assessment to fulfill a requirement in a course. The committee action, a motion was made by Member Gravitt to approve R277404, Revision 1, as amended on first reading. Motion was unanimous. Motion for the board, the committee moves that the board approve R277404, Revision 1, as amended on second and final reading.
Okay, the motion before the board is to approve R277-404, Revision 1, as amended on second and final reading. Any discussion to the motion? Okay, before we go to Board Member Cannon, Lorraine, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just need a clarification. So revision 1 was amended. Does that become revision 2 then?
Well, we just revised one line, Jen. Does that make it a whole new
It
version?
should be a new revision, but that was my question.
Okay, I think we're now on Revision 3 then.
Okay.
So I changed that to the committee moves that the board approve R277404, Revision 3, as amended on second and final reading. Thank you.
Okay,
We just
staff,
had way
is
too
that-
many revisions
this
this
is
time.
Take the amended out.
Revision 3 on second and final reading. So the motion before the board is to approve R277-404, Revision 3 on second and final reading. Discussion. Board Member Cannon, did you have a question? I want to record.
My question was, what revision are we looking at and where are we? So thank you, Lorraine.
Okay, so your question is answered. I'm not seeing any discussion. So let's take it to a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Voting was unanimous. Please continue.
Thank you, Chair. R277708, Enhancement of At-Risk Students Amendment. Deputy Superintendent Patty Norman presented R277708 to the committee, and the committee asked that the following revisions be made. Oh, my freak. Okay, hold on. So we must be on revision 2 then, right? Correct.
That's-
Okay, lines 162 through 173 to remove those lines. And so the motion from the board, the committee moves that the board approve R277708, revision, must be 2.
Yeah.
As amended on second and final reading.
No amendment. No amended. So the way I understand this, Board Member Belknap, is the committee moves that the board approve, so the motion before the board is to approve R277-708, Revision 2 on second and final reading.
Thank you.
So that's a motion before the board. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Voting was unanimous. Please continue.
Thank you. R277490, Beverly Taylor Sorensen Learning Arts Program Amendment and Continuation. Kathy Jensen presented R277490 to the committee. A motion was made by Spencer Stokes to approve R277490 as amended on first reading. Motion was unanimous. The committee moves that the board approve, I just need to make sure where I am, that the board approve R277490 as amended on second and final reading.
Okay, the motion before the board is that the board approve R277-490 as amended on second and final reading. Any discussion from the board? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Oh, hang on. Oh, let me. Okay, oh, we're safe. All in favor say aye. Those opposed? Voting was unanimous. Please continue.
You ready, everyone? Okay, R277700, the Elementary and Secondary School General Core Amendment. Committee Chair Belknap and Tiffany Stanley presented R277700 to the committee, and the committee asked for the following revisions to R277700 Revision 1. Who knows if what revision we're on? So we must be on revision 2. But these were the changes that were made. So lines 88 through 102, to remove those lines. So if I'll give you time to go with us. Yeah. Okay, line 157. Before line 157, add at least one course in each of the following in grades 7 or 8. Right before line 157, to say at least one course, I think it's an I, at least one course in each of the following in grades 7 or 8. Okay, 159. Remove beginning no later than the 2018-19 school year. Line 161, remove. Okay, line 199. After line 199, add the following, okay? And it's on here, but I'll read it anyway. Yeah, revision 2 has all these changes on it. Okay. Upon parental request, an LEA may substitute a course requirement described in subsection 3 with a course or extracurricular activity or experience that is A, similar to the course requirement, or B, consistent with the student's plan for college and career readiness. Number 8A, an LEA shall establish a policy governing the substitution of a course requirement as described in subsection 7. B, an LEA policy described in subsection 8A shall include a process for a parent to appeal an LEA's denial of a parent's request for a substitution described in subsection 7 to the LEA board or the LEA board designee. Okay, I know that's a lot right there.
Okay,
I'm almost done, so hold.
Okay.
And then lines 357 through 465, reinstate these lines. 367 through 465.
Revision 3 that we're supposed to be looking at?
Revision 2.
2.
Okay. A motion was made by Member Stokes to approve R 277-700 Revision 1 as amended on first reading. Motion was unanimous and Member Warner was absent. She was doing things in law and licensing. Okay, the committee moves that the board approve R 277-700 Revision 2 on second and final reading.
Okay, the motion before the board is that the board approve R 277-200 Revision 2 on second and final reading. Discussion from the board. Board Member Hanson.
Thank you, Chair. I have an amendment. I move, if you'll go to back to line, this is revision 2, to line 202. Where it says, I would like to remove the first part of line 202 where it says upon parental request an LEA may, so remove that part, and then insert an LEA may with parental consent. And also that would mean line 209, we would delete parents. Denial of a parent's request. The parent would still come to appeal, but it wouldn't be a parent's request. And then, can I speak to my motion?
So tell me again on line 209.
209, we would just strike
202.
the word parents before request.
That second one, what did you say, Linda?
Let's see, it is 209.
209 or 202?
209. First part's 202. So at first we would strike everything to the word substitute and instead say an LEA may with parental consent substitute a course requirement, blah, blah, blah. And then on line 209, strike the word in the very middle that says parent's request.
Okay, we have an amendment
I'll second.
to the motion. We have a second. Any further,
Can I speak
Prepared
to
to-
my motion?
speak to your motion, yeah.
Okay, so what this would do, this still requires parental consent, but this makes it a little bit more flexible so the parent doesn't have to be the person who initiates it. So a student could be sitting in a counselor's office and the counselor could come up with this idea and then the student could take the form or whatever to the parent and get the parent's consent. So it doesn't mean that the parent has to be the one that initiates it. Someone else can initiate it. Maybe it's a math teacher who sees that the student is speeding through all the math and says, hey, maybe they talk to the student and say, hey, maybe we should get you in a different math class and then they find out that they've had a math, they've gone to a math over the summer or whatever. So it would just does that make sense? So it would give more people the option. It would give teachers and counselors and maybe parents who don't understand the language or whatever the option to be able to be part of this. I think it's kind of an equity issue. Some kids would never have their parents walk into the school to request this. And so this would still give them the opportunity and the parents would still have to give consent.
Okay. Board Member Reby?
I love what you have to say, Mrs. Board Member Hanson. We don't have the word guardian here either, and a lot of students don't have just parents, they have lots of guardians. And to have continuity, there should be the word parent and or guardian. We need to recognize that some of our students really don't have any advocates for themselves, and they are their only advocate. So to put it in our parents' or our guardians' care is not fair to our students. We have lots of students who get themselves to school, feed themselves lunch, have jobs, and if they have the ability to advocate for themselves, we should give them every opportunity. So I would say that we should add guardians, and I like your motion.
Okay, we don't, Board Member Bolter?
I am not prepared to continually strip away parental rights. It's just not happening. So I would rather have upon parental request or consent, but to completely strip it away, it's as if saying, oh, children who have parents who do care about you, too bad, we're going to strip them away and take them away. We should be continually giving back parental rights and allowing parents to guide and direct their child's education, not stripping it. It is what is stated is, I believe it says in code that the parents direct the child's education.
Okay, Board Member Reby?
Me?
That's what I was going to say.
I don't think this strips away parents' request. It just expands it to students who don't have just parents in their life. They have to advocate
You
for themselves.
removed and struck out upon
I was
parental
called
request.
upon. To add a guardian, as a guardian is sometimes the only parent they have. Okay.
I think that's what it was to add wherever there's parents. Okay, but just one sec. Let me go back to the chair real fast.
Sorry, I think this will give clarity. We found the definition of parent is parent and guardian. So we don't need to put both of those in there. Okay, that they found it, I didn't. I'm just past.
Okay, Vice Chair Ellis, and then.
I'm not seeing that this is necessarily taking away parental consent. I'm not seeing that per se because you put that it has to be in there. I, for one, have the discussion at home and send my kids on their own. I don't want to sit in every meeting. And so I'm in favor of this amendment because I think that it would give more flexibility for lots of different reasons. Unless someone can see anything in here that is denying a parent request, which I'm not necessarily seeing that. So,
Okay. Board Member Lisa Cummins.
Could we reword it to instead of upon parental request, can we say upon parental student or advisor request and add those words and not take out the parental to be more inclusive? Is that possible?
Vice Chair Brittany Cummins.
I think the concept is valid. if we went with Lisa Cummins, Board Member Cummins' motion, it would basically allow a student to do it independently of their parent or a counselor to do it independent of their parent. So actually, Board Member Hanson's motion is the most complete one that allows other parties to participate, but still requires the consent of the parent to be involved in the process. So just a thought.
Okay, does the staff want to weigh in? Is that the intent? Do you see anything strained from the intent from this discussion or from the motion that Linda proposed? Okay, I value your opinion, and you're there. So, Lorraine, can you restate the amendment to the motion, which is back to line 202 and 209?
Okay, the motion to amend is to change 202 to remove upon parental request any LEA may, and insert an LEA may with parental consent. And on line 209, delete the word parents.
Okay. Board Member Hanson, is that clear on your
Yes,
motion?
that is,
Okay,
that is clear.
Vice
And-
Chair Ellis?
So legally, if we're striking out parents' request for an appeal, is there anything that would prohibit a parent from requesting an appeal by that language?
Can I make a motion?
Okay, thank you. I just
And
wanted
and it says the parent's the one that gives the appeal. It's just not necessarily the parent's request anymore, because it might have been a request from someone else. And
We have a
my,
motion?
can I make another comment? Just,
You want to
it's
speak to your
not, it's not my intent to take the rights away from parents. It's just to expand it. I hope everybody understands it. To expand that so that the kids that, you know,
I think it
okay.
has been stated. Board Member Belknap?
May I make an amendment to the amendment?
Yes.
Thank you. And keep in upon parental request, but parental or student request, and LEA may, what do you have there, Linda?
What?
202? Because I don't have it written down. An LEA may, what was there in the amendment, Lorraine?
It says an LEA may with parental consent.
Okay, I would like to have upon parental or student request, an LEA may substitute a course. And then the other one on 209, I think it's fine to take out
You're gonna have to be really
parental's
specific. We're
request.
not gonna be able to I can't. How are you amending the
Oh,
amendment?
keeping in upon parental or student request, an LEA may substitute.
Or
Yeah,
student.
just adding or student, adding or student. And then keeping it the rest the same.
Okay, we have an amendment to the amendment to include. Okay,
So I think the challenge with that piece is that it's not clear that the parent ultimately needs to approve. There isn't language. It would insinuate that a student could request it without parental approval.
okay. So with that,
Can I
Laura-
clarify?
yes,
Okay, so
Well, we don't
upon
have a
parental or
second, but I
student
just wanna make
request,
sure
an
we have
LEA
it.
may with, what's the other part of Linda's? With parental consent, substitute a course.
so is your amendment,
To add student in the request part
Okay, do we have
and
a
then
s-
keep
do we
the
have a-
rest of it.
do we have a second?
That Linda had.
I'm looking for a second to Board Member Belknap's. Okay, okay. That's why I wish we had this up on the board so we can all see it really easy. That's something we ought to work on. We-
Bring that up about 10 minutes ago.
Can we put it up on here as we're navigating the amendment to the amendment? But while that's being done, before I restate the proposed amendment to the amendment, Board Member Reby?
Don't we have to approve the first amendment before we can amend the second amendment to the
Not
amendment?
necessarily. You can make an
Okay.
amendment to the amendment,
Thank you.
because the amendment to the amendment can either add to or take away to the original amendment, and this is right to an add to. Okay. We're trying to get it written so we can all read it together because I'm,
Okay, so this would be line 2OT. Yeah, it'll be easier to bring it up.
so we get it in a color or anything, or? So we have the original amendment, and then we have amendment to the amendment.
Upon parental or student request, okay.
I guess,
Okay, so we want it reread
mhm.
as the, with the amendment to the amendment. Lorraine, can you get that?
Okay, so this is line 202. And this is the amendment to the amendment which adds or student. Upon parental or student request, an LEA may, with parental consent, substitute a course requirement described in subsection 3 with a course extracurricular activity or experience, that is.
Okay, we have an amendment to the amendment. It's been second. So let's vote on the amendment to the amendment. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Will the ayes raise their hand?
Will you
Aye.
record Spencer Stokes as an aye?
Okay, how you doing, Spencer?
Good.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, do you have them all? No, you do. Okay, one more time. You have 1, 2, 3. Spencer. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, the motion passes on the amendment to the amendment. Now we'll speak to the amendment. Board Member Hanson.
If we change that, then we also need to change 209, and that was not part of her amendment. It was part of my amendment.
She could do another amendment to the amendment.
So we need to do another amendment to the
So you can
amendment.
either take out, what my amendment was to take
Okay.
out the word parents, just so
Okay,
that
hang
it's
on.
a request.
Well, I need a motion to
Can I still
before we
process?
we speak to the amendment. Vice Chair Brittany Cummins.
So if I understand correctly, Board Member Hanson's amendment is still intact, which would include taking out the word parents, which I think would still be appropriate in this, under the amendment to the amendment. So just for process sake, I think it's still, her amendment is still there, which contains that change.
Well, the cleanest would be, because it wasn't mentioned, I understand where you're at, but the cleanest way to deal with this is another amendment. I'm really close to agreeing with you, but we've read it and we've stated it. So for clarity, even, I want to make sure we don't have any gray in this. So will you help me with that?
So Board Member Hanson's amendment basically was what's in red with parental consent and LEA may. So the amendment to the amendment only just swapped a couple things, but she also included striking out the word parents. So that's already part of her motion, which would be back to that amendment right now. And so we would basically be voting on what is currently on the board, which includes Board Member Hanson's
Correct.
changes.
That part
So
I agree with. So back to the amended amendment. Lorraine, will you please restate it?
Okay, we
That you
passed the
have-
amendment to the amendment.
So
So
now we're
what's,
back to the
there is the amendment. So the amendment
the
would be,
amended amendment.
upon parental or student request, an LEA may with parental consent, et cetera, And then down lower on 209, it would be to strike the word parents.
Okay.
So that's the amendment.
Okay, that's the amendment before the board.
The whole thing.
The whole, that's the amended amendment. Says everyone comprehend this, so this is what we're voting on. Okay, any more discussion to the amendment? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye. Those opposed? Spencer, you?
George Spencer as an aye.
Okay, thank you. Voting, those opposed? Voting was unanimous. Okay, so now we have an amended, so what we call this revision?
Well, call it revision 2 as amended.
As amended. Okay, so the motion before the board is to approve R277-200, revision 2 as amended on second and final reading. Any discussion? Vice Chair Ellis.
I'm failing to see the flexibility being offered to districts and to parents to direct their children's path. And I know there was controversy over this rule, and I know it's been back to committee a million times, but I'm failing to see where we've kept in any freedom, really. I mean, we're letting people appeal something, which I think they already legally could have anyway. Anyway, so I'm asking for those in the committee to please sell me on why you think this is a grand plan.
Okay, so the question comes back to the chair or to staff. So so you have a question from Vice Chair Ellis to staff.
Jennifer's going to.
Oh, I just got volunteered, but let's have
Okay.
Terrell go first.
Terrell.
No, I just want to ask, I just want to clarify. So are you concerned that a district can still say no? Is that where your concern is?
I'm not in favor of the lines 158 that you have to at least take one of these courses, or it has to be consistent with your college and career readiness plan or high school graduation requirements, because I see so many problems with the amount of things we're requiring that strip away flexibility for people to be able to chart their own course and their own educational path. And it's not a secret that I don't necessarily follow that plan, and I let my kids chart their own course, and they're doing well at it. And so we're not jumping through graduation hoop requirements, because I know you can get into college without having a diploma. And so at our home, we don't jump through requirements, and I'd like to make sure other people don't feel like they have to do something off the beaten path to be able to chart their own course. 'Cause most people.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Lear
I think it was Jenny. Was it Jenny?
Oh,
or Gravett?
well, there's a couple of issues, and clarify if you want some things, but I feel like this does a really good compromise. It gives us a child a well-rounded education, because to me as a taxpayer, I care about that your kids have a well-rounded education too. They're in my community, they're in my state, they're in my world. And a lot of research shows that having well-rounded education betters for graduation rates, it betters them in many ways. And yet, instead of saying they have to do a full year, they can do to a course. So then that gives them more flexibility. So it does both. It allows a well-rounded education and it increases flexibility. And if you're still not happy with that as a parent, you can go to your LEA, you can go to your school, and you can talk that to chart the course that is best for your child. But it's a win-win to me.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the motion. The motion before the board is to approve R277-200 revision 2 as amended on second and final reading. Vice Chair Cummins.
Sorry, I just want to clarify that it's R277-700, not 200. There's a typo.
Did I say it wrong?
It's a typo on your sheet.
So what is it? R277? Oh, 700, sorry. Let me restate the motion. Then we'll take it to a vote. The motion before the board is to approve R27700 revision 2 as amended on second and final reading. Okay, we're going to take it to a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? With the noes? We have, there's 3. You have those 3. Okay, but the motion passes. Does this conclude your report?
It's the song that never ends. Okay, the alternate science standards for grades 6 through 8. These are, no, this is easy. This, Leah Voorhees presented the science standards now that align for our significantly cognitive disability students. It used to be the UA. It's now called the DLM, and now their science standards now align to the science standards for grades 6 through 8. There was no action taken, and that was it, and amen.
Okay. Thank you, Board Member Belknap.